tell me about what makes a pretty bitchin' kitchen.
Well, a pretty bitchin' kitchen is made up of a lot of ladies, strong women. Start there. I don't know. I think it's a lot of elements. It's a lot of life lived, love, laughs, cocktails. Definitely cocktails in a pretty bitchin' kitchen.
You gotta have that most
Yeah.
important ingredient,
Yes.
right? Yeah. So you had so many people that you loved pour into this book. Were there more recipes than you could actually put into the cookbook? Did you have to leave some out?
We did. We put in most of the staples. I mean, I've grown up with these women my whole life, so all of these recipes hold certain memories for me and for all of us. So it was a lot of discussions, a lot of happy hours discussing which recipes went in the book. And we needed a good balance between, like entrees, and we do a lot of like everybody bring a dip parties, which is easy. So we had to get all of the categories, like the entrees and the holidays and the party tray and the cocktails and the desserts. So it was really fun to like hone in on which ones should make the final cut.
I'm already sensing the theme of cocktails. Like you had to have cocktails to discuss the book.
We had to have cocktails to discuss which cocktails go in the book.
That's perfect.
We look for an excuse to celebrate all the time.
One recipe that you knew was going in was the loaf.
The loaf.
This is a recipe that has been in your family, and it's the first thing you cooked for Brendan's family?
Yeah, it's the first thing I cooked for Brendan's family. It's Bev's famous meatloaf. It was editor's pick in Southern Living like a decade ago, and she now calls it famous. My mom. But it's definitely a staple. It's one of those, like, when anybody's ever been dating someone serious or brings them home, they'll either bring them to mom's house to have the loaf or call her and ask her how to make it, because that's how you know you're getting serious with somebody. So yeah, when I first met Brendan's family, it's one of the first things I made for them.
Was that intimidating? Was there pressure to
Oh, yeah.
what you were going to make?
My husband's actually the cook of our family, so it's pretty funny that I have a cookbook. But he is from a family that really cooks a lot, and it's very much Italian influenced because they're from New York. So I've learned a lot from them. I got to learn how to do vodka sauce, and they let me pour the vodka, and I'm like, oh, one for you, one for me. And we've taught Brendan and his family about our Southern ways, so it's been fun.
Tell me a little bit more about Brendan in the kitchen. You actually do acknowledge him and let people know the secret in the book, right?
Oh, yeah.
That he is actually the cook in the family.
Oh, he's the cook in the family for sure. I'm very lucky to have a husband that loves to cook. But we have such different styles because we're from such different places, with my Texas roots and all of our Southern cooking, and then his very much Italian influenced family. I feel like it's been fun. We had a Thanksgiving the first year we were married, and my family came up from Texas, and so we had like barbecue and beans and rice because they're Dominican, and we had eggplant parm, and like we were in the gamut on kind of food that was based on where we're all from. So it was really fun to sort of learn about each other that
And he's
way.
more the daredevil in the kitchen?
Oh yeah, Brendan will try anything. He's very brave, and he also makes. It's always going to involve heavy cream. Like, I love that about it. And he's like, you guys sure do fry a lot of stuff. But yeah, it's fun to share. I said, you're up next, babe. Your cookbook comes next, but y'all eat yets first.
Tell me a little bit more about the people who played such a big role in this cookbook, the importance of them in your life, and just kind of how they've helped you through ups and downs and the roller coaster that you've been on through the years.
I feel like having a group of strong women in your life is so important, especially when you're younger. And my grandma and her group of friends were the first generation of the yayas, as we call them. And then my mom and her best friends are I was raised by all these women from 2 generations of very strong women who've been through all kinds of things in life with, whatever life throws at you. So being a young girl and sort of seeing how they handled things really taught me early on how to persevere and how to be strong and stand strong in who I am, and really lean on people when you need to, and don't let your pride get in the way. And I think, a lot of those memories and a lot of those moments, whether it be celebrating a really high or helping each other through a low, all of that was done around food. And so food has a ton of memories for me and I think that is for everybody. A lot of magic happens around dinner tables, and this book is just a reminder for people to sit in that moment.
It's almost like a deeper meaning to comfort food.
Yeah, it's when you think about it, you get married, it's all about the shower and the food and the cake, and if someone passes away, it's people smother you with love and food. And so I feel like, it's important to spend those moments, and it's not just about the food, but it's about the people you make it with.
Sharing those types of moments and that level of depth that you have with them, how would you say that sharing meals and those relationships have played into your work as a songwriter?
You know, I started writing when I was 17, writing songs, and I had obviously not lived a lot of life to write about at 17. But sitting around the kitchen table or helping in the kitchen with the ladies in this book or my grandma's and her friends, I really absorbed a lot of the things that were going on in their lives. And I think I wrote my first really sad song about Vicky's was going through a terrible breakup at the time, and I was, you know, listening and watching her journey, and I felt like it was a really good lesson for me to know how to get into that emotion. And then, you know, then I knew of course it was going to happen to me at some point, because that's what, you know, they kind of taught me about what life was going to throw at me and how to handle it and how to use it. You know, as a songwriter, I'm lucky because I can put pen to paper and a melody and really get that emotion out. And so this is just another extension of a way to do that.
Yeah. Would young of Miranda been surprised that the songwriter, that she was actually going to have a book, a cookbook?
Yeah, I mean, if you'd have told me 3 years ago I was going to have a cookbook, I would have been like, what? I mean, I cook. I don't cook when the queens are in the kitchen, obviously. I make the cocktails, and I keep everybody I keep everybody from getting thirsty.
You stay in your lane.
I stay in my lane. Thank you. But yeah, it came together so organically. It felt right. It felt like a really good way to sort of let people in to like my personal life and the way I grew up a little more than I ever have, because I'm pretty honest in my music, but I've never actually written some of these stories down or said them out loud. So it's cool to share, and I feel like everybody has a tribe, a sisterhood, a group of friends they really rely on, and so this is just our stories, but I feel like it's universal because everybody has those people.
Yeah. And the book just, it's so beautiful, by the way, and but it feels like so much more than just recipes. There's so many stories. Like, you really wrote this book. It's not a published book of recipes, so you really share so much.
Yeah, it's less about the recipes and more about the stories and the life lessons, really. But the recipes are fun and they're very approachable. I mean, my family's like, buy the crust. Betty Crocker knows what she's doing for a reason. Like, we don't, you know, it's more about spending time together than spending too much time in the kitchen making everything perfect and pretty. It's about being together. And yeah, I can't believe I actually have a cookbook.
So amazing. So I want to end with a little bit more about your mom. One of the things that you say about your mom, and I love this, is that she taught you a lot of life lessons without lecturing you about life lessons, like in subtle ways. So kind of explain that.
My mom she kind of led by example. You know, she was very strong, and she made our house a home even when we had nothing. She could always make something out of nothing. And my grandma had a little plaque in her kitchen all my whole time growing up, going to her kitchen. I think it may still be hanging there. And it said, do what you can with what you have. And I think that lesson that she instilled in my mom, who instilled it in my brother and I, Luke, I mean, I feel like we really took that to heart. And it's also really played a big role in my career, because this is not an easy road, and it's sometimes being who you are and being your authentic self leads to the harder path and leads to the longer way around, but it's so much more worth it in the end to really stay authentic and be who you are. And I feel like those lessons I learned early in the kitchen have kept me grounded in this industry.
Any recipes from Grandma that were just too secret to put in the book? Anything you're taking to the grave?
My grandma, well, we say she was a liar, because she was like, oh, I just go by the recipe on the package. And we have Nani cookies, which are in the book. We call them Nani cookies. And she said she just went by the recipe on the package, and it's just not true, because nobody can make the cookies like she can. And when we ask her, she would just say, it's all in the hands, and do that. So I don't know. We're still trying.